Welcome back into the 143. Our last show here for a couple of weeks.
Yep, this will be the last time in this scenery for about a month.
We are trying something new this month where...
As we are away from the HQ.
And each other. So we're going to try some remote recording for the next few weeks as we go on winter break. But that's just a break from school because there is no such thing as a break.
Need not fret because content will be uploaded regardless.
On Wednesdays at 5 a.m. like it always is.
Like usual.
We are recording this on a Sunday night after all the games. Obviously tomorrow there's Patriots Cardinals, which that game has absolutely no meaning to the NFL at all. This episode is actually about the MVP race. Not really about what happened this week. I'll let Nick give just a very brief recap in just a second of the Cowboys
once
game.
We just finish our intros.
Yeah, once we start the intro. We'll dive in with the stat of the week though. Brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics. This is just kind of a intro into what we'll be talking about here in a little bit. But Patrick Mahomes leads the league in passing yards at 4,160 so far this season, and passer rating at 103.4, as well as touchdowns thrown at 33 so far this season. So he's your leader in passing yards, touchdowns thrown, QB rating. Keep that in mind as we continue.
I'm glad that was brought up because it will be very helpful later in the show.
It will.
I have your player of the week, and that is Mr. Trevor Lawrence, who came out
what a game today
on all cylinders today against a division rival in the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans have been raved about in regards to their defense, which was it was not there today.
It was a no-show.
In a 36-22 win over the Titans, Mr. Lawrence threw for 368 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, while throwing no interceptions, and he had a rushing touchdown to cap it off.
And the Titans blew like a 14-0 lead at the beginning of the game. It was a pretty sad game for the Titans. Great game from the Jags.
It was a good game for Mr. Lawrence. Obviously, he looked phenomenal that game.
He's been looking better he's been looking good this season.
He's been looking very, very good this season, as Joseph said. Possible franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence if you can just get him some experience, maybe some more weapons, and then polish off the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So let's dive into it.
Just a quick, recap, like Joseph said, of the week. Nothing new.
No, nothing new.
Really? I mean, the Cowboys won. Just barely.
I would say it was a scary game for Cowboys fans.
It was not very fun to watch.
I think
we won, but we're disappointed.
Real quick, I'm going to make some live technical changes here on the air. Nick, if you could just turn your mic to where the voice is. Sorry, guys. Nick might have been quiet there for a little bit.
There we go. Just make some mic adjustments.
There we go.
Everybody.
That should be good.
There we go. Nice and crisp. So like I was saying,
there you go.
The Cowboys won, but it was very, very disappointing. It came down to a game-winning drive, which every team, all the good teams this season have had their fluke game, right?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs dropped one to the Colts, right? The Eagles beat the Colts, but it was by a game-winning drive, and the final score to that game was 17-16, right? And then we almost blew a game to the 110-1 Texans in a Lone Star battle.
We did. It took a 2-minute drive comeback from Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. It was a scary game. It was a frustrating game for us as Cowboys fans. Wasn't really anything like, oh, we're going to be terrible for the rest of the season or anything like that. It was just a scary fluke game, like Nick was saying. We ended up coming out with the W, which is all that matters. And we're playing the Jags next week, which now is a little scarier than it was before.
Obviously, the one thing we've been able to count on is our defense, giving up 20 in the first quarter and then 3 in the second quarter, so they were able to adjust, and ultimately is what gave us that win, is what I would say in my book. Now,
on to our discussion.
MVP race. So at this point in the season, it has ultimately come down.
This episode is to silence some
two
talk.
Candidates.
2 people.
Okay. I think it is. I say I think. I know it's between
two guys.
Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. And obviously, most of the time, me and Joseph would like to disagree on things, but this is not one of those things.
We can't in this case. And before y'all come out and say that we're biased because we are Cowboys fans, all the stats that I read you at the beginning of the show.
That is the case, but there is factual evidence to back up why Patrick Mahomes is deserving of the MVP.
So our pick is Patrick Mahomes, and honestly, I'm going to say this. I don't think Jalen Hurts is number 2 either. Okay? I think just because right now the Eagles are rolling, and they are. I'm not saying they're not. As much as I can't stand the Eagles, they are winning a lot by a lot of points. But that does not mean Jalen Hurts should deserve MVP. You take Jalen Hurts off of the Philadelphia Eagles, and you put Patrick Mahomes on that team. You put Tua on that team. You put Justin Herbert.
You may very well be undefeated.
You put Brock Purdy on that team from the 49ers, Mr. Irrelevant. They're going to be the same record because their defense is amazing and their skill players are amazing. So Jalen Hurts himself, this is my argument. Jalen Hurts himself does not carry the Eagles anywhere, okay? He is not that impressive. I'm going to read you his stats. Okay, Jalen Hurts is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in passing yards, 10th in touchdowns thrown, and that's what. So he's basically 10th.
I mean, you look at the quarterback stats, and it's laughable when you put them next to each other.
I'm going to say this.
It's ridiculous that you can say that Jalen Hurts is better when he's not even top 5 in passing yards or passing touchdowns. Not only is Patrick Mahomes top 5, he is 1 in passing yards and passing touchdowns.
The award is most valuable player, right, to their team. You take Patrick Mahomes off the Chiefs. Let me say this. You switch Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Let's put Jalen Hurts on the Chiefs. Are the Chiefs that good? Are they beating the Chargers in a close game? No, they're not.
Absolutely not.
Is Patrick going to be good with the Eagles? Absolutely he is. With that O-line and that defense.
You put him on any team and he is going to be successful. And the whole argument that Jalen Hurts lovers will throw at you is their record. Okay?
Yes, they have a good record. They have a really good record. They've also played nobody.
So do the Chiefs. Like, they're acting like Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs are like 6-6 or whatever.
The Chiefs lead the AFC.
They're number 1 in the AFC. Absolutely. I mean, you look at who has the better defense? The Eagles.
Eagles.
Who has the better offensive line?
The Eagles.
Who has the better wide receiver room?
The Eagles.
Okay? Just in case you think we're not being fair. Tight end, that goes to the Chiefs. Running back room, I think that goes to the Eagles again all day. As well.
The Chiefs don't have a running back.
The Eagles have a more sound and better, well-rounded team. But Patrick Mahomes is what makes the Chiefs so good.
Patrick Mahomes beats Jalen Hurts by 1,000 yards right now in passing yards. 1,000 yards. He beats him by 11 touchdowns thrown. Like that, when you're a quarterback, your job is to throw. Jalen Hurts is a better running back than Patrick Mahomes. I'll give him that. He runs way better than Patrick Mahomes. But you know what? Patrick Mahomes knows his job is to throw. And so that's what he does.
Absolutely.
And then he gets the job done with his legs when he needs to.
You can count on Patrick Mahomes to win you games. He has had countless game-winning drives this season. You can think about it against, the Chargers, right? Which is a huge thing because those are two generational talents going at it in Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes owns Justin Herbert.
He does.
Right?
He does.
In a grueling match between the Titans and the Chiefs, ultimately what won them the game is that Patrick Mahomes was able to use his legs to his advantage. So I think it's not even a question that Patrick Mahomes is the MVP over Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts and his team, the Eagles are good at getting up big in the first half, and then in the second half they stall and they don't score, but they win the game because they're up by so much. But that's not Jalen Hurts. That's the fact that he has an amazing team around him.
I just think it's that Jalen Hurts cannot play from behind.
He can't. Our argument is you take Jalen Hurts off the Eagles and put another quarterback there, they're just as successful. You take Patrick Mahomes off the Chiefs and put anyone else there, they're not. But I will also say this. There are people ahead of Jalen Hurts in the MVP conversation, in my opinion. I'll give you two guys, okay? Geno Smith and Joe Burrow are both playing out of their minds this season, both with way less than what Jalen Hurts has.
I mean, I would agree.
And they're both playing phenomenal, carrying their teams.
Absolutely.
You take those guys off their teams are nothing. So I think that, and it was Tua there for a little bit, but the last couple games, Tua's shown that he. By the way, my Dolphins pick is looking very dismal right now. I'll just say that. That was something I was feeling really strong about a few weeks ago, and it's just not looking too great for the Dolphins, but we're not going to go into that today.
They just slowed their roll.
They did.
And to your point about Joe Burrow, what I think is worth talking about is that the Bengals started winning whenever Joe Burrow started playing well. They were struggling at the beginning of the season because Joe Burrow was so off and on. He was so up and down.
His O-line cannot block.
But once he strapped in and started playing like the Joe Burrow that we know he can be, that's when the Bengals just started rolling, and they have been on a hot streak recently. And then
they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, they beat the Chiefs, and Joe Burrow is still undefeated against Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, they beat the Browns today, and then they're going to play the Bucs next week.
I think my thing is Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, they're vital to their team's success. Absolutely vital. Geno Smith is. I just feel like Geno deserves some recognition for the season he's having. He's also here. I'll pull it up. Geno Smith is leading Jalen Hurts in passing yards. He's also leading him in passing touchdowns as well. Not by as much as Patrick Mahomes, but he's still leading him. And then Joe Burrow is definitely leading him as well. So like the two things that quarterbacks are supposed to get, right? Yardage and touchdowns. That's their job, and win games.
Absolutely.
And Jalen Hurts, he's got the record, but that's a team record. That's not a quarterback record.
One thing that I was thinking about is if you take Joe, we've been talking about taking people off of their teams, right? Obviously, you take Joe Burrow off the Bengals. They're not the same, right? But the other thing I was thinking about is that how Eagles fans and Jalen Hurts MVP lovers will throw in your face their record, right?
Right.
Well, the Vikings, they have what? Is that the third best record in the league?
Yes.
Third, maybe fourth. So are you going to tell me that Kirk Cousins is the third best quarterback in the league?
Exactly. He's not.
Absolutely not.
He just has a lot of weapons.
That's ridiculous.
I think Kirk Cousins would even tell you he's not.
He has a lot of great pieces around him. He has a great coaching staff. He has the ability. He has just enough ability to win games. He gets the job done.
And Kirk doesn't even say he's the best out there.
No shade thrown at Kirk Cousins, but I'm just trying to prove to you the point that if you have enough pieces around you, then you can be successful, whether or not you're the greatest quarterback in the world.
Okay, record-wise, the Cowboys are also the fourth best team. They're tied as the fourth. Are you telling me Dak Prescott's the fourth best quarterback in the NFL?
Dak is not a top 5 quarterback.
Dak's not a top 10 quarterback.
He's not playing like it.
No, so that just goes to show the record does not mean that the player deserves the most valuable player. The best record does not mean that quarterback of that team gets the MVP.
Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Jalen Hurts is garbage.
No, because he's good. He's playing really well.
He is a solid quarterback, but to sit here and say that he's the best quarterback in the league say that he's the most valuable player in the league is ridiculous.
Let me say this. Last year, Jalen Hurts was on the Eagles. And the Eagles went 9-7 and got blown out by the Buccaneers in their first playoff game. Or I'm sorry, they went 10-7 and got blown out. And this offseason, Jalen Hurts is still on the Eagles. Who'd they add?
Well, that's a good point.
They added A.J. Brown, right? Mm-hmm. So my argument would be on the Eagles, A.J. Brown is the most valuable player. Because with his addition,
true wide receiver 1. And that changed everything.
And A.J. Brown is getting insane catches,
up
insane
the
numbers.
Defense a little bit too.
They did.
And that helped a ton.
So I don't think Jalen Hurts is even the most valuable player on his team.
And you can look at the Chiefs, right? Do they have a true wide receiver 1?
It changes every week.
It's Travis Kelce, okay? Their tight end is their true wide receiver 1.
But the person that leads them in yards every week changes.
It's completely different.
This week it was McKinnon. Around. Their running back had 100-something yards.
I think it was like the second quarter of the Broncos-Chiefs game, and they said that Patrick Mahomes had already thrown it to 9 different people.
And that's every week. That
happens. That's a weekly basis, like Joseph was saying.
He's got one safety blanket, and that would be Travis Kelce.
Absolutely.
And we're not taking Travis Kelce is great. He's a great.
You
safety
take anyone, you take whoever you think the wide receiver 1 on the Chiefs is, and you throw them anywhere else, they're probably wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, but they're definitely not the wide receiver 1 anywhere else. And obviously, the Chiefs are struggling to find a running back. Like, they've been rifling through Clyde
Their running
Edwards-Helaire,
backs are also receivers.
Jerick McKinnon, and Isaiah Pacheco, right? Like,
Never heard of any of
they've
them.
been struggling to figure out who their true running back one is.
But that just shows Patrick Mahomes' greatness. Like, you throw anybody on his team and he makes them great. Like, he gives them stats, he gives them yards. Jalen Hurts has Devonta Smith, a Heisman Trophy winner, and A.J. Brown, a top wide receiver in the league, a top 5 wide receiver in the league, easy. So it just goes to show Jalen is good, but Patrick Mahomes is the clear-cut MVP, and I would put Joe Burrow at second.
I think that's important that the point is made that we're not saying Jalen Hurts is trash.
Because he's not.
But we just would like to say that Patrick Mahomes is just that much better because also Patrick Mahomes' playmaking ability is ridiculous.
It is insane. The way he wins his team games, like, not that they've won every game, but they have an amazing record, and he has so many 2-minute drives or last-minute drives. Like, this is how you know he's the MVP. Okay? If Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are down by 1 with 15 seconds left in the game, and they just get the ball on their own 25, everybody's still scared that they're going to drive down and kick a field goal or score a touchdown. Jalen Hurts gets the ball with 15 seconds left on his own 25, down by 1. Nobody's scared because he hasn't shown he has the ability to do that. But Patrick has time and time again. And that just goes to show you the ability that he has to win games and the fear that he puts in the defense. I guarantee you Jalen Hurts doesn't do that.
I would also like to ask all of you Jalen Hurts lovers, I want you to look me in my eyes, okay?
Through the camera.
And tell me that you're in the Super Bowl, you're down by 5, you have 2.5 minutes left in the game, and you're on your own 10. I want you to look me in my eye and tell me that you would rather have Jalen Hurts than Patrick Mahomes in that situation.
Nick, I will look you in your eyes right now and tell you that I would rather have Patrick Mahomes.
If you ask 100 competent men who they would rather have in that scenario, 100 men out of 100 will say Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. People in general. We don't want to make it just
right
men.
mind would say Jalen Hurts because that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and he's a good quarterback, but Patrick Mahomes is the guy. His numbers that we said at the beginning of the show very well say that he is that man. He's on pace for over 5,000 yards passing.
I just don't think you can compare the two, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes is just so much better.
Passing yards, he's averaging 320 passing yards a game. That's unheard of. And he's normally gets that. So we're just saying they're both amazing football players. Patrick Mahomes is the clear-cut MVP this season. And it will be a shame if he doesn't win it.
I mean, I'm looking at Kirk Cousins' stats right here.
Okay.
They're somewhat close.
Kirk Cousins on the list
to
for
what
stats.
Jalen Hurts has.
Kirk is 7, I think. Jalen's 10.
They have very, very similar stats.
They do.
It is mind-blowing to me that some people would have the audacity to say that it's Jalen Hurts. Okay? He's a good quarterback.
Yep.
He's definitely the Eagles franchise guy. Okay? I'm not saying they need to trade him away. Obviously, hang on to Jalen Hurts because he's going to be your guy for the next 10 years, hopefully. Right? But this year, Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback and way more deserving of the MVP.
Jalen Hurts is like Lamar Jackson. You put Lamar Jackson in the Eagles offense, he does great. Jalen Hurts is lethal with his feet, and he has a decent arm. Patrick Mahomes, lethal with his arm, and he gets the job done with his legs. As a quarterback, you're not supposed to be a run-first guy. You're supposed to be a pass-first guy.
Absolutely.
Because you're the quarterback. And just Patrick Mahomes has just shown that he has the clutch gene, what it takes to win games. Right now they're the AFC favorite to win to go to the Super Bowl, and right now they're still the favorite to win it. And
I just think what the Eagles have shown this season is that they have the most complete team in the NFL.
They do, and
position-wise.
They do.
Obviously, hats off to them, right? But
sure.
I just don't think. No, obviously, that's
I can't take my hat off for
annoying
the
to
Eagles.
watch.
It is annoying.
I'm just trying to point out that you can't
from an
look at
objective
Jalen Hurts and be like, oh, the reason they're winning and the reason they're 11-1 is because of Jalen Hurts.
Y'all need to understand how impressive it is that we are being so objective in this right now as well.
Absolutely.
Because inside, we can't stand Jalen Hurts, and we can't stand watching him. But that's simply because he's the Eagles quarterback.
I am burning up inside.
I am as well. And again, as a person, I'm sure he's a great guy. But as a football player, I can't stand that he's the Eagles quarterback.
Absolutely.
But if he had the numbers Patrick Mahomes had, he would definitely deserve MVP. But Patrick Mahomes has clearly got him beat in every single category for most valuable player. And it's just a no-brainer to give it to Patrick Mahomes at this
Absolutely.
point. Now, if for the next 4 or 5 games of the season, Patrick Mahomes has like 10 yards a game and Jalen Hurts has like 300, obviously give it to Jalen, but that's not going to happen. So Patrick Mahomes is your under review MVP winner, and he should be for the league.
I would rather take Patrick Mahomes using his left arm than Jalen Hurts. That's right.
I'm going to have to agree with that.
That's right.
Because he's shown that he can actually throw with his left arm.
That's what I would take. All right, well, here's we like to end our shows on under review. In light of the Cowboys' win, right? I brought to you a quote last week from the legendary Tom Landry. This week it is Mr. Jimmy Johnson who coined the famous quote. Actually, this is not the quote of the week, but it's something I see every week on my Instagram when the Cowboys win. You know, it's him in the locker room, and it'll be like, "How about them Cowboys?" And then they'll be like, "Yeah."
Anywhere around the world, they know that saying.
I mean, I have to tell you, seeing that every week it hypes me up, man.
I would run through a brick wall for Jimmy Johnson.
So, this quote to you brought by the GOAT. Do you want to be safe and good, or do you want to take a chance and be great?
By the way, that just perfectly described the Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes
absolutely
debate right there. So that was a great find.
So let's take that chance and be great, everyone.
This week, and we will see y'all next week from our remote locations here on Under Review. Thank you for tuning in, and
we will see you next time.
We'll see you next week.